Greetings, everyone. I'm Pete Pardo from Sea of Tranquility, here to report another death in the music community. One of the greats, Sly Stone, born Sylvester Stewart, passed away today at the age of 82. Born in Denton, Texas, March 15th, 1943, had been living in Los Angeles, California, passed away on June 9th, 2025, due to complications. He had COPD, a long illness with that, and with his family surrounding him, leaves us on this day. One of the pioneers of funk, R&B, soul, certainly during the psychedelic era, where really the music of Sly and the Family Stone really rose to prominence and became quite a best-selling artist and band for a number of years, certainly through the late 60s and the early 70s, probably reaching somewhat of really hitting the zenith right around the time of the Woodstock film, because of course Sly and the Family Stone played at Woodstock in August of 1969. But a whole string of platinum and gold albums here in the States, starting off with Stand and finishing up with Small Talk. That would be the end of the big run. But of course, also that huge greatest hits set released in 1970, which went 5 times platinum here in the States. Of course, Sly vocals, keyboards, wrote much of the material on all those albums. I did want to show some of those album covers here. So let me fire up the Prezi app. But yeah, one of the true innovators, right? I think at the time there was really nobody else that was combining like funk and soul with this thing called psychedelic rock. So it was kind of like a new sound at the time. And it proved to be very popular with the general public through albums such as, which I'm going to show in a second here. Again, like I mentioned, 3 platinum plus albums, a couple of gold albums, and a whole assortment of hit singles, which I'll talk about in just a minute. So some of the albums that became mega popular with Sly Stone, of course, this was the last big album. You got Fresh, you got Riot Going On, you've got Stand, right? This was the big first big album. You got Life. You've also got Dance to the Music. They had a first album which was moderately successful, but this is the first album that really started to kind of hit the charts for Sly and the Family Stone. And they would kind of keep that same lineup for a number of albums going forward. But let me just wanted to show those album covers real quick. Let me close this. So I did want to talk about some of the songs, the singles, which I think, people talk about a couple of the albums, right, often, but more importantly, when we're looking at like 1967 to 1970, we're still, even though that's like the beginning of the album era, still very much singles driven, right? Radio songs. So, of course, in 1967, released the title track to Dance to the Music, which made it to number 8 on the Billboard charts. The song Life also charted. Yet Everyday People in 1968. That was a number 1 hit single on the Billboard hit charts, singles charts. Title track to Stand made it to number 22. Hot Fun in the Summertime made it to number 2. Thank You for Let Me Be Myself Again, right? 1969, another number 1 song. I Want to Take You Higher, which became the big anthem for their set at Woodstock, made it to number 38. Family Affair, slower R&B kind of track, right? 1971, that also made it to number 1. Running Away made it to number 23. You Caught Me Smiling, number 42 in 1972. If You Want Me to Stay, number 12 in 73. Frisky made it just barely dented the top 100 singles chart, number 69. Time for Living in 1974 made it to number 32. Loose Booty, number 84. And that basically would be it as far as like the charting singles go here in the States. But again, if you take all those songs and put them on that greatest hit set, you're missing a couple, obviously, on the greatest hit set, but there were a couple new tracks on there. So there's a reason why 5 million plus people bought that. But yeah, such a an interesting character too, right? I mean, he was always in the news. He, unfortunately, not always for good things, right? Later on, he developed a problem with drugs and alcohol, right? Which kind of steered some of his output in the wrong direction during the 70s and led to some years of inactivity and also some kind of problems within the family Stone camp, right? And that led to kind of like the breakup of that band. He later just became a solo artist without the Stone family, right? So no family Stone, just Sly Stone. And saw limited success in that avenue, but really it was when Sly and the Family Stone, when the whole family were together creating music from like the late 60s to the very early 70s, that like kind of like 4 year period, 4 or 5 year period, that was the big commercial breakthrough of Sly Stone and the band. So, but yeah, he's kept more of a lower profile in more recent times, but a lot of success early on, certainly an interesting career, but a very influential career. It's been told many times that I think that Miles Davis was really getting into the music of what Sly was doing and what Jimi Hendrix were doing, which kind of prompted Miles Davis to move away from kind of like traditional bebop jazz into more of this kind of jazz rock, jazz funk fusion thing, starting within a silent way and Bitches Brew and Jack Johnson and On the Corner and things like that. It would have been interesting to see like Miles kind of hook up and create some music with Sly and with Jimmy, right? That would have been really, really fun to see, I think. But yeah, a very, very cool artist, very groundbreaking. Like I said, not only for soul and funk music, but for psychedelic music as well, though a way to kind of marry all those different elements. So Sly Stone leaves us at the age of 82 here on June the 9th. So go out and listen to some of those classic Sly and the Family Stone songs and albums, and remember the man and his music, which will live forever on. So we'll miss you, Sly. He's up there playing and jamming with the greats right now. And thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. I am Pete Pardo. Thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Rest in peace, Sly Stone. Take care. Bye bye.